Hi, I'm Kevin Proteau with Locals Supporting Locals for another segment of the Heartbeat of the Okanagan. This is a very special video this time because Locals Supporting Locals just participated in the worldwide march that took place against Monsanto. Happened in over 50 countries and 500 cities worldwide. Unprecedented. And so together with Josee Bergeron, who initiated the one here in Penticton, we put together the march here. And with the help of Mignonne Wood, Lora Brunke, and Jamie. Sadly, I don't know her last name, but she is with Grasslands Nursery. And so we're editing this in at the beginning of the video because we wanted to wait till we saw what with all the feedback from media, Facebook and stuff. And Facebook has been phenomenal with all the reporting from different cities that did this worldwide. You can go to the March Against Monsanto YouTube channel, and they have video clips of all the cities around the world. It's really awesome what took place here. So sadly, with our mainstream media, they downplayed the amount of cities. They didn't properly cover it, and I know firsthand that I contacted all mainstream media myself, 3 different emails, phone calls as well. So it wasn't like they weren't aware of it, but again, their lack of participation. The Penticton Herald, Castanet, and Oliver Chronicle did cover it up here, and along with So Country, which is with Dennis Walker there. So that's fantastic, and lots of pictures were taken and shared immensely here. We had roughly about 250 people. It's roughly between 200 and 300 people here in Penticton that did the march, which is again fantastic. It's the most I've seen turn out for a rally. So because of all this unification here and people coming out of the virtual world into the reality, this is where we take it back. So it's something we were doing here in Penticton as well, and I started this from the local supporting local conference that I hosted last summer here. Is I got people signing sheets, putting their name, emails, phone numbers for contact information to stay in touch with things as we progress. Because as we see with the mainstream, with their lack of coverage, all these laws to take over the media, social media, it's going to get to a point where we're not going to be able to see be able to post YouTube videos and stuff like that. So I think it's very important. We're calling it the Union of the People of BC. The true meaning of the word union, though, united people, not the corporatized union. And so I recommend all cities do that. And here in Penticton, we were marching for we wanted GMO Free Okanagan, and the same things were reiterated out of Kelowna for their march too. So together, Locals is wanting to work with any other groups here in between South, Central, and North Okanagan here, so that we can go after this. I know there is a meeting coming up soon with the UBCM, which is the municipalities of all the local governments in BC. And if I'm not mistaken, there's a federal one here, so we need to get organized very quickly here and even try to move forward to get a GMO Free BC here. So that would be fantastic here. So all my contact information is on the Local Supporting Local website, so by all means contact me. It's www.localssupportinglocals.ca, and enjoy the video. It was a great turnout, so thank you to everyone for participating, and together we can do this. Local Supporting Locals is not about me, it's not about you, it's about we. Okay, so by all means contact us.
I hear the people cry and survive. Time to join in the progress, but this dominations to exist. The madness Monsanto defeats. USA should be first in line.
That's a good pickup,
Everybody come up and sign our petitions here. We got petitions for say no to the GMO apple. We also we have the local supporting local calendar as well. It's by donation. The theme of it's real living with real food. David Suzuki actually wrote in the calendar raising the awareness to genetically modified foods. But the solutions are all in the calendar. It actually shows you who our farmers are, which are most of them over there, who they are, what they grow, and how to find them all.
My name is Josee Bergeron. I am one of the organizers for today's march. I'm the mother of 3 young children, 1, 2, and 3. And like the main organizer of this worldwide event, I was inspired to organize this march because of Monsanto and how Monsanto is threatening the health of my children. And I also want to thank the organizers, in particular Kevin Proteau, who is one of the guy behind Locals Supporting Locals. And thank you to all those that will be speaking here today. So today we are participating in the worldwide march against Monsanto. We have over 400 events worldwide, which is awesome. The fact is, we the people are getting tired of Monsanto and what Monsanto is doing. Our food supply is being contaminated by genetically modified products, and our land is being sprayed with poison. The time to say no to Monsanto is now. Now is the time to educate everybody about Monsanto's lies. Let us do this for our children. Let us do this for all people. And let us do this for the beautiful planet that we live on.
So Lee McFadden, she's going to come up here, and if you don't know Lee, she is Miss Grandma Organics here. She started her organic farming here in back in 1962, and back then they all thought she was wearing a tinfoil hat, and now she's one of the most respected women in farming.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you all for coming along today. So I'll start out with Monsanto. Monsanto's first product was the artificial sweetener saccharin, which it sold to the Coca-Cola company. It also introduced caffeine and vanillin to Coca-Cola and became one of Coca-Cola's main suppliers. In 1919, Monsanto entered into a partnership with Grace's Chemical Works in Wales to produce vanillin, salicylic acid, aspirin, and later rubber. During the 1920s, Monsanto expanded into basic industrial chemicals like sulfuric acid. During World War II, Monsanto contributed to research of uranium for the Manhattan Project, which led to the atomic bomb, and continued to operate a nuclear facility for the US government until the 1980s. During the 1940s, Monsanto became a leading manufacturer of synthetic fibers and plastics, including polystyrene. Following the Second World War, Monsanto championed the use of chemical pesticides in agriculture. Its major agrochemical products have included the herbicides 2,4,5-T, DDT, Lasso, and Agent Orange. However, in February the 13th in 2012, we come to the present day, the French court in Lyon ruled that Monsanto's Lasso weed killer formula, Aliquor, caused Paul Francois to develop lifelong neurological damage that manifests as persistent memory loss, headaches, and stuttering during speech. The 45-year-old farmer sued Monsanto back in 2004 after inhaling the product while cleaning his spray tent equipment. And the Pesticide Review Board decided to make Aliquor restricted rather than banned. The Canadian government at the same time banned it, and Monsanto fought the Canadian government, but for once our government stood fast, and to this day we cannot use that herbicide. So that's one up for the Canadian government. Vietnam War veterans in the United States who faced an array of debilitating symptoms attributed to Agent Orange exposure. Agent Orange contaminated more than 3 million civilians and servicemen, and an estimated 500,000 Vietnamese children have been born with deformities attributed to Agent Orange, leading to calls for Monsanto to be prosecuted for war crimes. No compensation has been paid to Vietnamese civilians, though some compensation was paid to US veterans. Thousands of veterans were disallowed benefits because Monsanto studies showed that dioxin, as found in Agent Orange, was not a human carcinogen. However, an EPA colleague discovered that Monsanto had apparently falsified the data in their studies. And this is a repetitive issue with product after product. The success of the herbicide Lasso had turned around Monsanto's struggling agricultural division. And by the time Agent Orange was banned in the US and Lasso was facing increasing criticism, Monsanto had developed a weed killer, Roundup. Who knows Roundup? Who's heard of Roundup? A lot of you have, but it seems that some of you haven't. Glyphosate is the active ingredient in Roundup. It was launched in 1976, and Roundup helped make Monsanto the world's largest producer of herbicides. It is also the most used pesticide on the planet. The success of Roundup coincided with the recognition by Monsanto executives that they needed to radically transform a company increasingly under threat. According to a recent paper by Dominique Glover, Monsanto had acquired a particularly unenviable reputation in this regard as a major producer of both dioxins and polychlorinated biphenyls, or PCBs, both persistent environmental pollutants posing serious risks to the environment and human health. In 1991, Monsanto was fined $1.2 million for trying to conceal the discharge of contaminated wastewater. In 1995, Monsanto was ordered to pay $41.1 million to a waste management company in Texas due to concerns over hazardous waste dumping. That same year, Monsanto was ranked as 5th among US corporations in EPA toxic release inventory, having discharged 37 million pounds of toxic chemicals into the air, land, water, and underground. Monsanto began the production of polychlorinated biphenyls in the United States in 1929. Monsanto produced PBCs for over 50 years, and they are virtually omnipresent in the blood and tissues of humans and wildlife around the globe. The US Environmental Protection Agency says PCB has been demonstrated to cause cancer and a variety of other adverse health effects on the immune system, reproductive system, nervous system, and endocrine system. A trial in 2002, Monsanto admitted that the evidence proving the persistence of these compounds and the universal presence of residues in the environment is beyond question. The public and legal pressures to eliminate them to prevent global contamination are inevitable. In 1969, the company wrote a confidential pollution abatement plan which admitted that the problem involves the entire United States, Canada, sections of Europe, especially the UK and Sweden. As Monsanto had moved into biotechnology, its executives had the opportunity to create a new narrative for the company. They began to portray genetic engineering as a groundbreaking technology that could contribute to feeding a hungry world. We need air. They've done their best to pollute some of it too. We need water. We need those on a very predictable basis. We need food. We need it on a very predictable basis. But he who holds and controls the seed literally controls the world. And that is their aim. A company without a conscience. I do want to say one thing about the promotion of GMOs as a way of feeding a hungry world. To understand whether or not GMOs will feed a hungry world, you have to understand why the world is hungry. And it doesn't have so much to do with the amount of food on the planet, but far more to do with who controls the food, who sells the food, food being a commodity, who transports the food, how to get the food to the people that need it. Not aid not sending surplus products as aid, products that can't be sold, but real food. And in understanding those things, you realize that a GMO crop is not the solution to food hunger. Better farming practices are, and there are a lot of better farming practices, and they are being adopted around the world. They're certainly being adopted in our valleys. Organic farming is one method of better farming practices.
So thanks for your patience. Thank you so much, Lee. Okay, let's keep the party going here. I wanted to give a thank you to some of the press here because sadly mainstream, even though if anybody knows me, I'm a very persistent person here. And I sent out a lot to even CBC, Global, all the mainstream media, and nothing was covered on the news in the past couple of days. And this is, again, I think it's supposed to be about 50 countries, over 500 cities. But I do want to thank James Miller from the Penticton Herald. He has been plugging it for us. Thank you, James. I think he's somewhere here. And as well, Dennis Walker from So Country, which is really, oh, there he is. Yes, Dennis Walker is back on the air, which is nice to hear. Again, that's a part of corporatization, again, how Dennis and the boys lost their spots there. But we're going to talk about that stuff at the end when we get into the solutions part. So what we're going to do is, when we do get to that part, we're going to break it up and finish it up over there at the Nanaimo Square there when we're standing in front of Dan Elvis's office. And just one more quick thank you. I don't know how many people are familiar with Heidi Osterman and the True Food Foundation. Okay, so she is an incredible lady. She's a certified nutritionist who, for the past 3-4 years since I've known her, has been raising awareness to genetically modified foods here in our Okanagan. And she's probably, and she hates when I do this, but she's probably dropped about $20,000 to $30,000 out of her pocket to do this for us. And sadly, but in a good way, she's not here today, but I got her to give me a quote to tell you guys because she's actually in Berlin, Germany right now addressing crowds on Monsanto. The rally is in front of the Chancellor Angela Merkel parliamentary address. Heidi is telling Germany about the Canadian experience with GMOs and warning them that they must not feel with the label and are lucky that their government has protected them so far, contrary to Canada. Heidi will also be telling them about Monsanto Protection Act and Michael Taylor's role in the U.S. policy. She is warning Europeans that Canada is considering the approval of the GMO alfalfa, hay that animals eat, and that it will be the beginning to the end of organic meat and dairy industry. Other points of discussion are the results of Sarah Lina's study, that the world's only long-term feeding study. Monsanto fed rats GMO corn for 3 months and Health Canada approved it. The French scientists took the same type of rats and fed the same GMO corn for 2 years, and the results were shocking. Liver and kidney damage and widespread tumors. Although no Monsanto products, Heidi will be sharing information about specifically to fruits non-browning, the Arctic apple, the Aqua Bounty hormone-producing salmon as further threats to our food supply. Everyone has a role by sending a letter to the editor, the politicians, and their staff to pay close attention to the letters as the pulse of the public. It doesn't have to be a great letter, and it doesn't have to be long. The editor of many letters come in about one subject. Your letter is registered even if it is not printed. Please be respectful. The strategy worked in Kelowna after recent rallies and local papers are still printing the letters they have received a month later. So it is effective. So guys, do write the letters, send the petitions. More importantly though, a lot of us that are on Facebook and the social media, we call a lot of the people clicktivists. You know, they press like and share and they sign a petition, but we have to get out in the public like we are here. So I wanted to give a big thanks to myself, Josee, Mignonne, and Lora, and Jamie for making the Penticton rally possible. So that's from Heidi, okay? Now, without further ado here, we got Mignonne, and she's going to be speaking with the complacency of Canada.
Good
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. It's when I was working with the crowd to get this going, they said, oh, well, you know, if you get 50 people here, we'll be lucky. So I am so inspired by the turnout here, so thank you so much. My talk is about our government. Monsanto's a bad guy, we all know that, but our government is complicit. So we need to be recognizing that we need to hold our officials accountable. So part of the committee's job, Josee invited every elected politician. She invited Dan Elvis. Are you here, Dan Elvis? No. She invited our new Liberal member to Victoria, Dan Ashton. Are you here, Dan? She invited every elected official on the Penticton Council. Is there any elected official here from Penticton? One. Whoa! Whoa! This should tell you that our politicians do not want to address this issue, that they are not interested in what we have to say. And that is very disturbing, because this is not just our lives, but our children's lives, our grandchildren's lives, our great-great-grandchildren's lives, and it is probably the most important issue facing this planet right now. So, my name is Mignonne Wood. I am a retired educator, and I strongly believe that when we live in a democratic society like Canada, we should be guaranteed certain rights and freedoms. And our government has a responsibility to protect these rights and freedoms. The right to know what we eat is a fundamental right, so that we can exercise our freedom to choose the foods that we buy in the stores. But right now, in 1996, our federal government showed a total lack of respect for us and our rights when they introduced the first GM products without any public discussion and without any warning. Oh, Canada. 17 years later, and that's what it's been. So when you start looking at 17-year-olds, you know that their whole life has been exposed to genetic modified foods. And the younger the child, the more foods. It's a very scary thought. 17 years later, we still do not have the right in Canada to know what foods have been genetically engineered, because our federal government has declined to make labeling of GMOs mandatory. Oh, Canada. According to Health Canada and the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, these are the two agencies that have responsibility for food safety and labeling under the Food and Drugs Act. They say that food derived from genetic modification that are demonstrated to be safe and nutritious are to be treated the same as non-genetically modified foods with regards to labeling. So no labeling for GMO foods, according to Canada. You need to know that the Health Canada and the Canadian Food Inspection Agency do not conduct any scientific tests. That's not their role. But they're to protect us. What happens with this is genetically modified foods are approved for human consumption based on industry-produced science that is not peer-reviewed, and the public has no access to this information. Ultimately, it's the food producers who bear the responsibility for assuring safety. And as a consequence, in Canada now, we have the foxes guarding the hen house. While 60 countries worldwide, including Japan, South Korea, China, Australia, New Zealand, Russia, and economic European countries, have significant restrictions and outright bans on the production and sale of GMOs, not so in Canada and the US. Oh, Canada. So why not in Canada? Well, we are in a war to control the world's food. And Canada is a main player. Canada is heavily invested in the biotech industries. In fact, Canada is one of the largest producers of GE foods in the world. including corn, canola, soy, and sugar beet. Crops that are widely used in thousands of processed foods we see every day on our grocery stores. Foods that are being sold with GMOs in them, and none of them, not one of them, has had that GMO tested for human safety. As one of the top producers of GM foods, Canada is set to become a leader in the emerging global bioeconomy. This is the brave new world of modern trade agreements, where protection of health and environment is not a sufficient reason for government action. Oh, Canada. So with the backing of the World Trade Organization and international law, Canada is becoming a GMO bully. During the past year, Canada has been issuing ultimatums to European communities that they have to ease their restrictions on marketing and sales of GM food and seeds, regardless of Europe's public opinion. The goal is to open the European market to the Canadian GMO products, in particular, genetically modified canola oil. Now, for us, the Canadian government now wants to allow a percentage, 0.1%, doesn't sound like much, but it's a lot, for our food to be contaminated with genetically modified foods that have not been endorsed by Health Canada. The federal government calls this low-level presence, or LLP, and argues that this low level of contamination from unapproved GM foods is not harmful. It opens a back door for more GM foods from other countries coming into our food supply. So, tell us that GMOs are not harmful. Tell the rats from that French study that Heidi mentioned. Or tell the rats from the Russian, or the hamsters from the Russian study, which was the only long-term study, and it involved genetically modified soy being fed to hamsters for over a period of 2 years, and it resulted in 3 generations. And what they found at the end of the 3rd generation was that these GM-fed hamsters were suffering from sterility, they were suffering from infant mortality, and some of those poor unfortunate hamsters had hair growing in their mouths. That's what genetics will do when we mess with it. So what about us? Well, since no long-term studies exist on the impact of GM foods on human health, not one, they're all based on animal studies, and most of them are short animal studies. Our government has a responsibility to be prudent and cautious and exercise something called a precautionary principle. This is recognized as an international principle, and it is the belief that we shall do no harm. And if there is the slightest chance at all, that we could be harming the public's health or the environment, then the burden of proof falls on those who are creating the technology, and they need to prove that their product is not harmful. That's what we need to demand. Unfortunately, at this time, the precautionary principle is not something that is happening in Canada, and since the agro-business lobbyists seem to have the ear of our federal politicians, it's up to us. The citizens of Canada must demand that the multinational chemical giants like Monsanto, Syngenta, Monsanto's an American company, Syngenta is a Swiss country, Dow Chemical is an American company, DuPont, FASA is German, and Bayer is German. These are international, multinational companies. And our Canadian government to be held accountable for the decisions they are making that in the long term may have serious consequences for humanity, for the other animal species, and for our environment. David Suzuki has said, quote, "We are performing a massive experiment. The results will only be known after millions of people have been exposed to these foods for decades." We must take action by speaking up, telling friends, family, colleagues, and neighbors about this very important issue. We must take action by questioning elected officials as to their position and their party's position regarding GMOs. We must take action by demanding that our government represent our best interests and not that of the multinationals. We must take action by boycotting foods that contain GMOs, like any product that has canola oil. We must take action by supporting our local farmers that are growing organic crops. The time is now. Tomorrow will be too late. It's up to each and every one of us to stand on guard and keep the true north strong, free, and healthy. We must say no loudly to GMOs, and then maybe Ottawa will listen to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mignonne. Thank you. So Doug Maxwell is also here from the BC First Party. He was the only one of the parties there through the elections that actually had on their platform to make it GMO free here. And just one last added note in regards to checking for foods in canola. Just so, because there's a lot of moms out here, and you need to know this, okay? There is no baby food in Canada that does not contain GMOs, okay? So that compromises your child's immune system from birth, okay? So the common cold can kill your child, okay? So you got to source, and that's one thing, again, about the calendar. What I'm trying to do is find out where all the good stuff is. There's a lot of little mom and pops popping up making the good organic baby food for you concerned moms there. Okay, so now we're going to introduce some of the farmers here. We got Gord Forbes. I met Gord probably about 3 years ago here, and they've had their farm here in the Okanagan, if I'm not mistaken, since 1974, the second generation. David Suzuki and his family actually come up and spend time at Gord's farm here, so he's very well aware and very well awake, and he is one of our local farmers, ethical and organic.
Hi everyone, thank you very much for showing up. This is, I believe, our most important food issue that we're ever going to deal with. Losing our future is not like losing an election or a few points on the stock market. So we're here today to speak for future generations, and not only for humans, we're here to speak for the animals that don't have a voice. They're about to release GMO alfalfa, and as was said earlier, that's going to compromise our dairy, our organic meat. And not only that, we're force-feeding these animals this food. They don't have a choice either. At least we can get educated and we can choose not to buy it. But labeling would sure help.
Hold on to the wind blows.
Get a little windy. I'm just going to be really quick. My parents have a family farm down in Oliver. They've left it to my brother and I to run now. And we have an endangered wetland on our farm that our parents always taught us the value of protecting that wetland. That nature had its place, that it was valuable as it was. All life was sacred. We could have filled it in, we could have increased our farm and made a lot more profit, but they taught us how important all life was. Not only that, they told us that that wetland may be on our property for us to protect, but all life in it was not ours to own. My father was a great farmer, well, is a great farmer and grower. He taught me to save seeds, to produce our own plants. He taught us the importance of that. Year after year, using your own seeds. They were yours, came from your land, they were acclimatized, very important. So right now I give thanks to my parents for all they taught me. And just quickly, just a couple of points. The Journal of Entropy found that Roundup Ready, or Monsanto's Roundup, is found to be the most important factor in development of chronic diseases. The number one factor is their Roundup. And another fact about that company, They don't even serve their own food in their cafeteria. They won't eat their own food. So I'm just going to finish up real quick here, and I'm just going to quote David Suzuki's daughter, Severon, when she was 12 years old and spoke in Rio de Janeiro. She had words that were so wise at her age. She said, "In our anger, we will not be blind, and in our fear, we will not be afraid." She said that some of you are mothers and fathers, some of you sisters and brothers, aunts and uncles, and all of you are somebody's child. Thank you.
Thank you, Lora. Okay, so just so you know, Thomas Tubuck, he's going around there, he's giving out leaks, so you can take a leak on Monsanto. Okay, now so we, last but not least here, we got Ricardo Menenza. I met him as well about 3-4 years ago, and you are Mr. He is Mr. July in the Real Living with Real Food calendar there, so.
Hello everyone, and thanks for one of the most important days in history. We're here today, and we're here for them, and we're here also for all the animals, like Gordon said. Thanks for Kevin for letting me do this speech, and Locals Supporting Locals has my full support. I'm Ricardo, and my wife is Maria, and we have a stand over down in front of the Bank of Montreal. We started an adventure 5 years ago. We started off with an heirloom seed business because we realized that we couldn't find any seeds that were properly grown or that you could grow off, and we were buying them at Home Depot, and we were just germinating them, collecting the seeds, and then afterwards, no more. Like the plants wouldn't sustain anything, so we just started researching, and we went into the survival bank, and we found the perfect seeds. Heirloom seeds are the best. Seeds are alive. We love seeds. I suggest to all of you to plant seeds of your choice and watch it grow and collect the fruit of our love. Of course, collect the seeds for the next season. Science is great. I never imagined that we could ever have GMOs in our life, but they're there. And I think if GMOs were put for good, we would have like vigorous plants, beautiful, luscious, but because they're in the hand of corporations where their mission statement is profit, well, you get a seed that is sterile, weak, full of toxin, and carcinogenic for all life on this planet. I think food is medicine. Food, I read this definition on the Webster dictionary, and it says any substance that can be taken into the body to maintain life and growth and nourishment. Medicine is the science or practice of the diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of disease. Food is medicine, and medicine is in the food, naturally high energy food that the conscious farmer grows. I became a farmer because I was tired of hearing this contaminated, irradiated, mortified, sprayed, fried, baked, cooked. I can't even call it food anymore. And they took the life out of it. Sorry about that. Food is medicine. I moved here to Okanagan for 2 reasons. Them, my kids, and to get away from GMOs and grow my own food and have my own security of food. My parents before me, they moved from Italy to Canada because they saw no future in Italy. Everything was getting crazy and busy, and it was just too stressful. I'm tired of moving and walking away and seeing corporations like Monsanto pushing us further and further from nature and the land. I'm marching today not because I want labeling or I want to compromise with the corporations. I'm marching because I don't want to take this anymore. I'm marching today against evil. And you have no business here on this planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Proteau. Couldn't have said it any better here.
Monsanto, we say no. GMOs have got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. GMOs have got to go. What do we want? GMO Free Okanagan. What do we want?
GMOs have got to go! Hey, hey, ho, ho! GMOs have got to go! Hey, hey, ho, ho!
GMOs have got to go!
That's what they were training, right? Is that what it was?
GMOs have got to go. Take a leap on Monsanto.
Okay, so where's it?
Hello. I know you can hear me, eh? That's because I'm a politician and I make sure everybody can hear me. And this politician will tell you one thing. I don't want anything to do with GMO. I want more politicians to stand up and say the same thing. Yes! This is terrible for our future. We do not want GMOs to take over our food supply. Anybody? I'm Alan Patton. I'm with the regional district and I represent rural Oliver. I brought the GMO resolution to the regional district which asked them to deny and they carried that the registration of the Arctic apple, which Lee was just talking about now. We do not want any registrations of any Arctic apple or any GMO food at all. Does anybody here want GMO? No! Does anybody here want Monsanto to take over our seed supply? No! Does anybody here want the government to allow these registrations to happen? No! Well, neither do I, and neither should any of us. You know that Monsanto spent $40 million in that California labeling issue, and they managed to squash it. But we're getting bigger, and we're getting stronger, and we're getting angrier. And we're not going to take it anymore. Thank you. Thank you, Alan. Thank you so much. Yeah, at least I can say that Alan was the one that brought it forward twice there. So, can we get a list of the names who all voted no to making it a GMO Free Okanagan? Can you get that to us? Okay, there we go.
Nice.
All local supporting locals, go to our website, .ca, and I will update it and keep you posted on that one there. Because again, politicians need to start being held accountable. We pay them an awful lot of money to represent us, and they don't. You know, I mean, just this past campaign here, I mean, I've never seen, I can see steam coming off the screen of my TV just from the pool that was coming out of all these politicians' mouths, you know? Sorry, okay, so just for people to know here, okay, these signs here, a lot of them, they were donated by Heidi Osterman, okay? She worked very hard for these signs, so if you're leaving, if you can just put them up over here, give them to Josee, because otherwise when Heidi gets back from Germany, she will kill me. And I got too much work to do here to make this a GMO Free Okanagan, and that's what local supporting locals is fighting for. So I hope you guys all took the time and signed that paper there, because we have to keep marching on with this, okay? This is about solutions here, and I'm just wondering, does anybody else have something they want to say here? Okay, we got, sorry, what's your name? Okay, so Vicky's going to come up here and say a couple of words here, okay?
Yeah, I just want to let you know that. Louder? Is this okay?
Better.
How about this? My 21-year-old son came to me last week and he says, you know, Mom, he says, I kind of noticed something about all the friends that happen.
What's that?
What's that?
Okay, just stay closer.
He says all of my friends have something wrong with them. He's 21 years old and his peers have high blood pressure, high cholesterol. They have autoimmune diseases. They have arthritic symptoms. They have bad back. And they're 21 years old. And this is the first generation that was raised on like pure crap. Luckily, he said to me, thanks, Mom, for denying me all those foods that I wanted. And so that's your payoff, and you're getting a healthy child and a grateful child. I just want to say one more thing. A pure example of how we adulterate our food is with wheat. Several decades ago, they knew the longevity of bread had something to do with the gluten gene. So they screwed around with the gluten gene, and now we have unprecedented amounts of irritable bowel syndrome, celiac disease, Crohn's disease. The list goes on. So that's a perfect example so that we don't let it happen again. People are only finding out now about we've got to stop corn, everything else that's, that they're trying to force down our throats. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Vicky. Okay, yeah, let's do another chant here. Hey, hey, ho, ho, GMOs have got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, GMOs have got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, GMOs have got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, GMOs have got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, GMOs have got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Okay, so we also, Doug Maxwell here just wanted to say a couple of words here. Throughout the elections here, the BC First Party, they only had 2 candidates running for their party here in BC, but on their platform they actually had to make it a GMO free BC as well as smart meter free. They wanted to remove them. The only party that was willing to do that. So, Doug, if you want to come up here. After that, folks, what we're going to do is, if you don't take off here, we want to get everybody onto this side, behind the tractor. We're going to do a nice big group photo here, and hopefully it'll be on the front page of the Penticton Herald. Where's Jay? Can you hear me now? Yeah. You know who I am? Up there in the office would be Dan Elvis, and I know he has 3 young daughters. I know he doesn't want GMOs. I wish he were here. He should be here. Dan Elvis, who I ran against, promised many times in every forum that we were at that he was against GMOs. He's not here today. I'm not sure why they shouldn't be here. We should hold them to that promise. There's one thing I want to read to you, and off the internet I took the commitment that's written down by Monsanto Canada. Give me a second, I'll pull it out here.
Well,
okay, so this is the commitment that Monsanto Canada has in their on their statement. It says respect. We will respect the religious, cultural, and ethnic concerns of people throughout the world, the safety of our employees, the communities where we operate, our customers, consumers, and the environment will be our highest priority. Make sure you hold them accountable for that. Okay, thank you very much. Let's keep going. GMOs have got to go. Hey, hey. GMOs have got to go.
You rock! Monsanto doesn't!
It's really what local supporting locals was put together. We got to put our egos to the side here. We got to start collaborating here, working together here. We're based on a money system that's not working for us here. And a lot of it's going to go back to what it used to be, like a lot of bartering and stuff like that. And we're being guided by the root of all evil, which is money here. It was only supposed to be an exchange of currency here, like, instead of... Oh, you can't hear me? Oh, sorry, there we go. Okay, so the currency, with the money is the thing here, you know what I mean? And so as opposed to, slaughtering your chicken and coming downtown with your chicken here to get to buy my shirt, we created the money. That's what it was, the note. And today... Louder. We're waiting for the mic. Where is the... Okay, we got Jamie here. She's also another volunteer to help make this successful here. She's from Grasslands Nursery, and they are one of the solutions to the problem that we are in.
Okay, can you hear me? I wrote a poem. I wrote it in a hurry, so I hope that you guys enjoy it. It says, I say no to GMO because they bugger up my flow. With the hair in my mouth to grow, chewing my verbal afro. Round and round and round we go. Where it stops, we don't know. But the test results, they all show that it's been 15 years and it's still a mess. While the media stands in stillness, what the heck do they know? Who the heck is Monsanto? We're headed to an inferno, as far as the eye can see. you and me, armed with the giant zucchini that we grew ourselves for our bodily health. Our seeds are our greatest wealth, not off sinensis shelf. Sinensis, sinensis, since I'm wondering if I'm a cannibal for eating up my cantaloupe. Monsanto, you know that needle over the cannibal. Grow your own food, buy local, save your body, that's the way to do it.
I don't know where Kevin went, but I have the megaphone. So let's do some more chanting because it's so much fun. All right. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. GMOs is got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. GMOs is got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. GMOs is got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. GMOs is got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. GMOs has got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. GMOs has got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. GMOs has got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. GMOs has got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. GMOs has got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. GMOs has got to go. What do you want? A GMO Free Okanagan! Talk about some solutions and things like that. Here we have some other information about something that's very relevant here in Okanagan. Well, you've got me back and I'm not going to keep you for 20 minutes this time. Monsanto is a long way away. But very close by is the Okanagan Specialty Fruits Company, which is developing the Arctic apple, that is right in our backyard. Right here. So, if we don't want the Arctic apple, now is the time to get in touch with Health Canada and let them know.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, GMOs have got to go. That's a quick and easy one, I like that one. Okay, so, this is the biggest part here, okay? Oh, I forgot, I had Alan here too. Okay, and again, I will let him speak for his underneath. Okay, because what we are marching for today, it's like Ricardo said, okay, you don't make deals with Satan, okay? He always slips out of the race, it's in a song, right? We want a GMO Free Okanagan is what we march for today. Okay, once times, 3 times a lady here, so we are going for, we're not stopping. Okay, so that's why I signed these papers here, so that this way we can get in touch. And next time it is BYOP, bring your own pitchfork, right? Okay, so. Okay, we still got some more signs over here. We got some big ones here, so we need some strong guys here, okay, to hold them strong as we march through our market here, okay? So what do we want? A GMO Free Okanagan. When do we want it? We want it now, okay? So I'll ask the question, and then you guys yell it out, okay? So what do we want? When do we want it? Perfect. I think that one's easy, okay? So we're gonna get ready to march here.
GMOs have got